Welcome to the Working Tools Podcast, where today will be part 2 of our discussion of 5 Ideas to Keep Brothers Motivated by Ed Pisani Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, brethren all, welcome to the Working Tools Podcast, a casual conversation around Freemasonry. First, it's important to note that our thoughts and opinions are our own and do not reflect those of our Grand Lodge or respective craft or concordant bodies. Please connect with us and ask questions via our website at theworkingtoolspodcast.com.
Today on the Working Tools Podcast, we have our usual row of contestants. Worshipful Brother Jarrod Dunham from Penticton Lodge number 147. Very Worshipful Brother David Colbeth from King's Holman number 60. Worshipful Brother Stephen Chung from Prince Charles number 153. And I'm Matt Appel from Mill Creek Lodge number 243. And, well, I didn't say earlier, but half of those people are from BC and Yukon, and the other two of us are from Washington. So
I'd like to buy an E, Matt.
Like the dating game.
I've been told I look good like Vanna, so it's
Under certain light.
No, that was white, not good.
The Dark Knight is the fight.
So back to the article that we were discussing last time on ways to keep brothers motivated in Lodge. We sort of, in my opinion, glanced over the open door policy, but okay, everyone thinks we did that, so we won't talk about the open door policy. We'll go on to part 4, which was respect their time. And I gotta say, I could not agree more. I've said before, and I mean it, I'm not afraid of a long lodge meeting. If we have stuff to discuss and there's good stuff going on, I go for it. We can meet till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Amen, brother. But very, 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 very rarely when that happens is it because that there was anything actually worth that going on.
And I think that ties in specifically to what he was trying to say about the open door policy, just to go back just a little bit, is that I thought it was important that he said specifically, you need to welcome every brother to ask any officer or any brother, but specifically the officers. I think as new guys, we sometimes think, I don't want to bother them, or there's a silly question or whatever. And that we want to respect their time, tying into the second section and the next section here too, that I remember when I was learning my ritual, I didn't want to call my mentor for 1 or 2 words. I always felt like I don't want to bother him. But they would always say, we want to do that. We want to help you advance. And we try to say that to the new guys as well. But I know, because that's what I was thinking, I know that they're thinking they don't want to bother us. But I think we need to constantly say that, and that there's any question that they might have that they could ask, which would then lead to good discussions about things. And that's what the show is all about too, right? Is to hopefully have good discussions about things and develop an understanding. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Matt's shaking his hand. to develop an understanding of things and different ideas about things and different ways to look at things. So I don't know. I have an open door, and respecting time is relative, but not necessarily. I mean, what does respecting your time really mean?
Well, it's interesting because I was just rereading that little section in here, and he says, never ask a brother to volunteer and then don't have anything for them to do. I would agree with that. That's the important, is that, how many people do you need to how many people are required to get done what you want get done? And as he says, have a plan. And I think that's the one point that needs to be emphasized, is have a plan.
How many Masons does it take to change a light bulb?
Yeah. Like a lot of times when we're sitting through those long meetings, it's because no one has figured out exactly what they want to get done. And so everyone is chiming in with their idea of how it should be done. And that's what drags the meeting out, is that if you want to accomplish something, know what it is you want to accomplish, know how many people it's going to take to accomplish it, and just make that specific request in Lodge.
Oh geez, it's gonna Board of General Purposes all over again. Here we go.
No.
But I agree. I've I don't know how many meetings in life, not just in masonry, but I've walked out of the meeting and gone, best idea ever. We should totally do this. And then, a week later, if you still remember it, it's there's still, there was no follow-on action. There was no plan. There was no got out a great idea, and there was no follow-through. And that is one of my gripes in life. And I'm guilty of it too. Don't get me wrong.
That Matt had a great idea and there was no follow through.
Exactly. Why aren't you people all doing what I say? But I mean, I'm as guilty as the next guy of not having enough follow through on things. But it drives me crazy.
Well,
somebody who you talk to them, and they're like, "Yeah, it's a great idea," and then nothing.
yeah, and sometimes it happens that you put out such a call for help, and the guys are so willing to help that you get more than enough hands there to do the job. And the hardest thing to do is say, well, thanks for coming, but I don't need you now, right?
No, it's
not.
If you have a plan and you know how many people you need, once you get that fifth person, once you've got your 5, the next person that calls, thank you very much for offering, but we've got everyone we need.
Oh yeah, but no, you didn't call. He showed up.
No, that's once again, have a plan. Don't just open call. We need a bunch of people to come out and help us with this. Say in lodge, we need 5 people to do this. Who's going to volunteer? Because by doing the open call, you've wasted those people's time because they want to help. They've come out. You don't have anything for them to do. And the next time that you call for volunteers, they're going to go, everyone else is going to help out. I don't need to.
So does that go back to the idea of project management, so to speak, or the event management? So a plan, a guy needs to have a plan. And a lot of times maybe we put people in charge of things or let them run with their idea and they don't really have a very good plan and don't know how to.
You mean we should be running our lodges more like businesses? Well, I think Matt's head's going to explode. But yes, that's exactly what it is. Is if you give the senior warden has to, or the junior warden has a dinner they have to organize. Just saying, this leads to the other problem that we find is that we put it out there to the office. The junior warden has to organize a specific dinner, and then we leave it at that. There's no follow through with the master or anyone else going, what's your plan? Do you need help? Are you sure you don't need help? Really, do you need help? Type thing. And that's once again where this falls apart. So, plan, have a plan. I'm going to say that, have a plan. I'm going to say, have a plan.
Well, that old adage, failing to plan is planning to fail.
And sometimes I think that we fall prey to our own structure in that, my lodge at least meets once a month and not over the summer. So we have 10 meetings a year. And if you want to say, whatever, have a dinner, okay, well, we can't do it this month. So we have to wait at least a month until we have our next meeting. And then we have to do it after that. And then nobody does anything between the first meeting and the second meeting because there wasn't a plan. And then, we'll make the plan at the next meeting. And then that gets pushed off another month. And sometimes I think we organized ourselves into a hole with our meeting structure.
We did. We should meet more often.
When I first joined my lodge, we met every other week. And I like that pattern. Yeah,
the lodge I originally met twice a month. And 1 month, one meeting was literally a business meeting. And people who didn't want to go to the business meeting, didn't want to get were just not interested in the running of the lodge, didn't show up to that meeting. And that was cool because that meeting was specifically just to deal with the business of running the lodge.
Oh, you where's my soapbox? I have often said the Matthew J. Appel Lodge of Excellence will have 2 types of meetings in our bylaws, and there will be the business meeting where if you want to talk about what wattage of light bulbs to buy, that's the meeting for you, sir. You're welcome to come. Anyone can come.
I will affiliate.
What's that?
I will affiliate.
And the other meetings are going to be educational meetings, and it's going to be a lodge meeting. We're going to open, we're going to close the whole 9 yards, but there will be no business discussed. We are going to educate.
Or run degrees.
Or do degrees, exactly.
Because there's nothing worse than doing a degree and then, and now we've got to do the business of the lodge.
Exactly.
So did you, was it like every other week or was it first and second, or how did you?
It was Yeah, it was like a first. I think it was the second and the fourth Thursday of the month. So the second of the month was our business meeting, and the fourth was our regular communication.
Yeah, ours was the first and third Tuesdays. But yeah,
Oh,
it
that's
was.
wrong.
They were both real meetings. They were both business meetings.
Yeah.
So we had every meeting was much shorter. I mean, you still had to do the opening and closing ritual, but you only had to, whatever. If there was a bill to pay, you could pay it. There were half as many bills to pay and half as many things to discuss because there were two options to do it.
Right.
And-
So we
and
have.
Isn't that how your board of general purposes?
Which
Like
can't
that?
decide
You like
anything
that?
at a board of
You
general
do
purpose.
it.
Can't decide anything at a board of general purpose. It has to be voted on in an open lodge.
Sure, but isn't that your business meeting? Kind of your business
Nope.
meeting is your sort of like your board of general purposes.
But you
Okay,
can
so-
iron
No.
out the
Yeah, okay.
discussion.
Okay, here we go. Yes, actually, no, because this is what Emerald used to do. We had our board of general purposes right before the meeting. We'd go to board of general purposes, things would get discussed, and they go, okay, go open the lodge. We're going to vote on this. But that was the whole purpose of it, is that the business was contained in one evening. And if you were
Right.
not interested in any of that, you didn't have to come to lodge unless you were an
Right.
officer.
So we have our business meeting on the second Monday of the month, and we have an emergent meeting on the fourth Monday of the month. And so that's when we would do our degrees, our lodge practices. If we don't have a degree, right, would be on the fourth Monday.
So is it
So
an emergent meeting if it's always on the fourth Monday? And we are like way off topic now.
I was going to say, so
We're just talking about time.
Working
Yes.
Tools podcast bingo. We have Matt on a soapbox, David talking about board of general purposes, and Jarrod being curmudgeonly. Check, check, check.
But I haven't taken offense to anything yet.
Oh,
Oh, there's
Mm.
time. There's
Right.
time.
Right. Speaking of time, we should get back on track here, and respecting everyone's time. The next part of this and the last number on this, idea number 5, is show the impact. Right? Brothers love to hear and see the impact they made from making a new Mason to the amount of money donated to a worthy cause, and it matters. Thoughts?
Doesn't that fall into the same category as say thank you? Because that's by saying thank you, you were showing the impact of what people. I mean, I'm not saying the whole, because I actually agree that, like, what was the one, raising a brother or something like that, but still that's a thank you too.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's talking more about the public than just
Is
inside
he?
lodge. It's more about, hey, we raise this money or we do these things. Yeah, there's certainly some of that can be happening in lodge or within your own little groups, but isn't there a little bit more about social media and websites? And yeah, he's talking more a little bit about getting you the message out. And I often go back and forth between the idea of we need to promote ourselves a little more, and then also the idea of we don't need to brag, so to speak, about our accomplishments. But it's not really bragging. It's about getting the message into the public, because to let them know that we have things available. Also, hey, we're still around, we're still relevant, I think.
I hope. But how do you deal with the intangible things? Because you're always talking about the impact, but what about the impact that just us doing what we're supposed to do as Masons have on society that you can't really measure?
Oh, there it is.
Bingo!
Well,
Hollywood Squares. And so I think those things are the things that we can't really broadcast, right? How can you broadcast the idea of the tenets of what we're supposed to do?
I would argue that
Oh.
just by being who we're supposed to be, we are broadcasting what it is we're supposed to be doing.
There you go.
The what is it? There's a probably apocryphal story of, is it St. Francis? One of the famous early church people. And he and one of the acolytes was walking through the town, he said, let's go preach to the villagers. And so they go from the monastery and they walk through the town and they buy some fruit from the fruit stand and they talk to the goat herd and they wander into the money lenders. I don't know, wherever they go, wherever people went in the olden days. And as they were walking back to the monastery, the new guy says, well, I thought we were going to go preach to the public. And the saint says, we just did. And going out there and being, in my ideal world, us just going out there and being good men and true would be enough of an advertisement for Masonry that people would go, ooh, that Matt Appel, he's a great guy. I want to be more like him. And they would flock to Masonry.
Yes. But that's all I want to say. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
I want to join
That's
that
a rarely
lodge,
filled
Matt Appel
Rico's Bowl.
Lodge of Excellence.
Exactly.
What number is it
Apple
going to
Lodge-
be? What number? 357?
42.
Mhm.
Perfect number.
Uh-huh. So
That said, the second best. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. No, go ahead. I was going to ask, so what kinds of things can we broadcast then?
Within lodge or without?
Yes.
Okay, well, see, this is once again, I'm going to go back to within lodge is the thank yous. This is the, because they're talking, but this is the thing is that, the new candidate who comes to the next meeting and says, thank you guys, that degree was amazing. I'm, humbled by what I have learned. I mean, you can't force that, but theoretically, if we do our job well, it should happen. Outside of the lodge, I'm with Matt on this one, is that if we're doing our job properly, no one will notice that we're doing our job properly. They'll just know that the world is a better place.
And that David is a Freemason because of his shirt.
Well, yeah, we all need to get square and compasses tattooed right in the middle of our forehead so that no. Yeah,
Another one?
I do think, speaking of that, I do think we should wear our regalia, our symbol, a little more often, and then hopefully it would help us to check our actions as well to make sure we're not portraying the wrong thing. And just last night we went to a concert and I had my vest on, and a brother came up from behind me and tapped me on the shoulder and gave me the grip and said he's from Virginia or something, some lodge in the East Coast, and was visiting. And so we had a little chat, and I invited him to come to a meeting. He couldn't, but anyway, it was kind of cool to have it on and someone come and talk with you about it. I've had that happen more often than not because I'm wearing it. I think a lot of times we don't wear it because for whatever reason, I don't know why. Some guys don't want to have that recognition or that visibility. I think there's maybe nervous about what someone might ask them. Crickets.
well, that goes along with no, I agree with you, but that's an education thing. Maybe that's something you should do. What do you do when someone approaches you? What is the right thing to say? How do you deal with that nutbar who thinks that we control the world?
Oh, you just tell him we only control the weather.
No, actually, but I'll disagree. Joking about it isn't good either.
Yeah.
Is the problem. But because there is a brother I know who does not wear any symbol because he has been approached by conspiracy theorists and stuff, and he just doesn't have the bandwidth to deal with those people.
Very true. Very true. Maybe you should move.
So I think in essence, in reply to what someone said earlier, I lose track of y'all. I think it was Jarrod.
They all look the same.
You said in lodge or out of lodge, and I would argue there are three different things there. There are things in lodge we should talk about. Hey, we had whatever. We helped Widow Smith with her building a ramp into her house. That was a great job, guys. We should be proud of ourselves. There's sort of out of lodge or in lodge, middle of the road there, where you put in your lodge email, hey, this is what's going on, or this is what happened, and that sort of thing. And then there's out of lodge, where we're saying we're taking out ads that say, hey, the Shriners Hospitals for Children are a great thing, and the Masons do that. And I guess maybe I'm wandering off the intent of the article a bit, but I would argue each of those things have their place.
Well, yeah. Because, actually, that is the intent of the article, is that if people see the impact that Freemasons are making, it will make them it will remind them possibly why they joined in the first place, but it will make them want to stay and become more active. Assuming they want to make a difference and don't want to just, get together for pancake breakfasts.
And celebrating those accomplishments too. I remember, I know we haven't done our scholarships in a long time. Unfortunately, it's gone away. But when we were doing them, we'd have a big dinner with all the students and the teachers and the superintendents and parents. They could bring one or two guests with them, and you'd have a room full of 100, 150 people with all these students that have done some amazing curricular things and extracurricular and just phenomenal students and their families. And so to recognize them in front of them, as well as their superintendents and their teachers, was really fun. And unfortunately, we'd only get 2, 3, 4 Masons from our lodge to attend. It was kind of crazy. And you try to go back and explain the feeling, the intensity in the room to them, and you can't bring that back and feed it to them and explain to them how important that is. But when they come and they're able to be there, they can see how happy they are, how grateful the parents are. But it's like turning the corner off on a painting and trying to explain to them see what this looks like.
Do you still have a scholarship program? Because I know a college student who could.
Yeah, you have to go to Auburn high schools, but no, it's sad because there wasn't, at some point in the past, there was an emphasis to have this scholarship program, and for whatever reason, the monies got dwindled. They weren't continuing to feed the coffers, and they were raising the scholarships amounts. They started to dig into the primary amount, the balance, and not just the interest. And pretty soon there wasn't enough money to support it. And so we were every year, then these fundraisers started. And so we're every year slogging hamburgers and slogging sandwiches and whatever to try to raise money. And then and you get 2, 3 brothers to come out to flip hamburgers, and it was always a chore. And so then these guys said, we're done. We're not going to do this anymore if nobody's going to show up. And then it just kind of had to go away. And it's a little bit sad, but these days though, what's a $500 scholarship or a $50 scholarship is, or $100 scholarship is not much. It needs to be a couple thousand to make it worthwhile.
I don't know. Up here we have, we're going off on this one, are we now? Well, just because all our scholarships are handled by one organization up here in Penticton, and they hand out a ton of $500 bursaries and scholarships. And I mean, $500 is your books for the year. So granted, we're Canadian universities, so we're a bit cheaper.
I was about to say exactly that. Yeah, we have free university. Yeah.
Oh, free! Give me a break. We don't have free university. We're not Denmark. Thank God, 24% value added tax.
No, only the natives get free education here.
Yeah, but yeah, so like a 500, because I know my daughter got quite a few, and $500, they're really appreciative of $500. So I mean, yeah, I wouldn't.
And they all were appreciative, even of the $100, whatever. They were appreciative. It just, to do it for 30 kids was a lot. And it brings up a good point that maybe instead of us giving off a couple thousand and the next one giving a couple thousand, next one giving a couple thousand, maybe we should have all actually gotten together and said, hey, let's give $10,000 worth of scholarships as a group.
So your scholarship, your Grand Lodge doesn't have a scholarship program?
They do.
Oh, okay.
Through Washington Masonic Charities.
Technically, it's Washington Masonic Services.
Did it change? I didn't know.
If it hasn't yet, it's about to, I think. But anyway, the point is that, the Grand Lodge has one, and then a lot of individual lodges have them.
Mm-hmm.
My lodge has one. Ours is $2,000. So
yeah, we have a fund that sits there, and whenever I guess they pull the annual interest that's accrued off of that fund or whatever, and they give that away, whatever that amount is, for bursaries.
But once again,
it used to be a set dollar thing, but then it became problematic. It was a whole lot easier just to set it to be the amount of interest made in that calendar year or whatever, because we had a wealthy brother give us a donation or bequeathed us some money, and it was to be used for specifically for our bursaries.
But I know that when we were sitting in the ceremony where they were handing out, they do the convocation, and the bursaries at the same time. So they announce the student's name, they come up, they get their piece of paper that pretends to be their diploma, and they announce what bursaries they have. And there's usually people, representatives from the bigger ones, that hand them out. And I know I sat up straighter when there was the lodge one was announced, and I was, yeah, that's us. We're giving out money. But so you see the benefit of what we do. And I agree that, people are more engaged when they feel they're making a difference.
Hear, hear. I think, yeah. There's a part of me that still says, it's, we should labor in behind the scenes and make things better and, whatever, give scholarships, but, we don't need thanks. But it certainly does help to keep people motivated to see the good that they're doing.
Yes, very much
just
so.
Speaks to our humanity. And on that note, I think we've about talked through 5 ideas to keep brothers motivated, unless there's any final comments. Hearing none. Thank you all for listening. What motivates us to keep doing this podcast is that, well, frankly, we like to hear ourselves talk. But that and we like to think there's somebody out there listening to this show. So please feel free to provide us with 5 ideas to keep motivated, and comment on the pod on YouTube and etc. And we look forward to discussing the issues with you. And we look forward to talking to you again next time on the Working Tools Podcast. Goodbye.